it's Naya. Welcome back to Naya Reads and Smiles. I'm currently 10 chapters into On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. I'm listening to the audiobook, which I just found out was available on Scribd last night. So yeah, I was up till like 3 listening to the audiobook and it is so good. So On the Come Up is Angie Thomas's newest book and it is so good, you guys. Okay, you have to listen to this in audiobook form. Like, I wasn't planning on listening to the audiobook, but then when I saw that it was on Scribd, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just like jump into it, even though I wanted to like physically read it. I had no idea, but the setting of this book is actually the same town as the setting in The Hate You Give. So if you've read The Hate You Give, then it's the same, it's Garden Heights. The book takes place after the events of The Hate You Give, so everyone, all the characters are aware of what happened. In this book, we're following our main character, Bree, who she is an aspiring rapper. This is why I say I'm happy I decided to like go with the audiobook, because there's rapping in it. The narrator in this book literally raps everything to the correct beat of like the songs that are in the book. Yeah, like I said, I'm only 10 chapters in, but our main character Bree is so cool, and she goes to a different school than the characters in The Hate You Give. In this part of Garden Heights, there's like this underground, well, I don't really want to say underground because the parents in the book are even aware of it. This well-known like rap battle ring, and our character was lucky enough to actually get a call to compete in the rap battle. Just like in the first book, there's a lot of talk about microaggressions and racism and things like that, and our character Bree, even though she goes to a better school than the public school in her town, she still has to deal with a lot of what's going on in her community. In this book, we're following Bree and her friends who live a bit a ways from where Star lives, but are still affected by the shooting, and you know, you see that in their actions, in their fear. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Today, my goal is just to finish On the Come Up. I think I have like 8 hours left, and I read it on like 1.5 to double the speed. So anyways, yes, I will be listening to this. Okay, so currently 15 chapters into the book. I've only listened to a little bit more, but I'm enjoying this so much. And actually, I don't know if I told you guys this, but the whole team that produced the Hate You Give movie adaptation actually bought the rights to On the Come Up, so they're gonna be adapting that into film as well. I am so excited because like this is gonna be, okay, you guys know Step Up or Step It Up, the dance movie series. I was addicted to all the Step Up movies. It reminds me of Step Up the movie, but like rap battle edition. One thing that I love about Angie Thomas's books is that there's a very heavy focus on not just our character, but her interactions with her community. She goes to church, she has aunts and uncles, and her dialogue feels so real. Okay, so I recently got this book in the mail, and I was gonna wait until my book haul to show you guys, but I'm thinking I want to start reading it today as well. 99% Mine by Sally Thorne. Yes, I picked it up. I was gonna wait until my book haul to show you guys this book, but I think I might want to start reading it today as well. If you don't know who Sally Thorne is, she wrote The Hating Game, which is one of my favorite contemporary books of all time. Her writing is so like refreshing and funny and witty. This is her newest book, and I have been waiting for it to come in the mail, and it's finally here. In this book, we're following our main character, who's a bartender that's traveled the world and just worked in all sorts of different bars. Because she travels so much and because she has so much experience with like just drunk men, she's kind of closed herself off from love just because of her lifestyle, but she has a huge crush on her brother's best friend, who ends up coming to help her renovate her grandmother's old house. Now she has to be around this person all the time. Of course, there's gonna be like some tension. Anyways, I think I'm gonna take a break from listening to On the Come Up and read a few chapters of this. Like 15 pages in, but I forgot how funny Sally Thorne's writing is. Like, she is the queen of comebacks. Like, what I love about the women in all of her books is that they're so funny. Like, I don't know, like some people don't like how like petty and like low the humor is, but I love that so much. I just wanted to read you one little thing that I thought was hilarious and I feel like is a good example of her writing style. Our main character's name is Darcy and she's a bartender and she has like a short blonde pixie cut and she's just so cool. But anyway, there's this scene where this group of guys come in and there's this one guy who like starts hitting on her and comes up to the bar. I imagine a Ken doll left out in the sun too long and I step on that soft tan head like it's a cigarette. Not for a million years. A Ken doll left out in the sun too long. Like I can literally picture that so perfectly. Like, oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna continue reading and I will update you guys when I'm like 50 pages in. Guys, okay, so I'm a little over halfway through On the Come Up now. I'm absolutely in love with Bree. She's such a smart character. In the book, she has to freestyle rap a lot and I feel like freestyle rapping is so underrated. Something that Angie does that's so cool is we get this internal dialogue right before she starts rapping. She'll look at her opponent, right? And then she'll start coming up with words, say like the word excellent or something like that. And then she'll then go immediately think of other words that rhyme with that word and then just continue finding or like continue to put together words that rhyme, and then she'll kind of make a story in her head about what she's gonna rap about and organize all those rhyming words. Really incredible like internal dialogue of our main character just like putting together the rap before she raps it. One thing about Sally Thorne's writing I'm noticing in this book is that it lacks a lot of detail of the setting. The Hating Game was really dialogue heavy and this book is very dialogue heavy as well, which is like why I love it. But I noticed in this book she just doesn't really put any detail into what's going on in the background. A few chapters kind of felt like a script a little bit because it just lacked that sort of explanation of where a character is, and that was also a little confusing too. She'll have scenes where she's talking to someone and then all of a sudden she's like in another area of her house. We don't really get that like transition paragraph of like, you know, I look down at my feet and I walk towards my car or something like that. She just literally jumps from one moment to another without that sort of descriptive transition. Yeah, that's my only critique so far, but the dialogue is so funny that I'm willing to like overlook that.
She didn't. Please tell me she didn't.
Oh.
She did though, because several mouths around the room have suddenly dropped. I'm well aware that Malik is silent during all of this. I sit up. First of all, I say with a clap, oh shit, Sonny mutters.
Guys, okay, if you remember in my previous vlog, Scribbler Box, which is this company here that creates book box for writers, they sent me their writer's box for January, and they were so kind to send me their February box. Just like in the previous box, there is this cute little postcard with a writing prompt on it, and I completed the other one, you guys. I don't know where I put it. Oh my god, they sent me dark chocolates. I am going to enjoy eating this. This is a notebook. Oh my god, it is. I have almost purchased this notebook so many times at Barnes & Noble's. What is your favorite way to spend a lazy day? Well, if we're being honest, with some chocolate. So here's a writing passport for writing suspense. If you guys remember in the previous one, they included a writing passport for writing fantasy that just included like tips and advice for writing fantasy. But this one is for writing suspense, which is so cool. And there's this little, it's either a tattoo or like an iron-on patch, but it says just write on it. Another little envelope that says writer magic inside. And in the previous one was a little letter for a live stream that I could participate in with like, it's kind of like a writer's discussion. And there's a little signed, is this a book plate, I think, for the book, as well as two little bookmarks here. Here is the book of the month, and it is The Night Olivia Fell by Christina McDonald, and I believe this is a suspense novel, which is right up my alley, so I'm so excited. A little more. Okay, there we go. Okay, so huge time jump. It has been 4 days since I last sat down to update. So the reason I had a huge time jump was because I lost the book. And you're probably like, it's an audiobook, Naya. How do you lose an audiobook? As you guys know, I use Scribd, and I had heard about this happening with other people where Scribd takes books off your saved list. For anyone who doesn't know what Scribd is, it's the app that I use that you just pay, I think it's like $8 or $9 a month. And then you get unlimited audiobooks. And I've been using it for over a year year now and I haven't experienced like this thing that's said to be happening where it's like they take books and stuff. Yeah, 2 days ago I went to take a bath. I set my phone down, you know, I had it all planned out. I was gonna have some Epsom salts, you know, finish those last 3 hours of the audiobook. And then I opened the app and I click on it, but it says this title is not available at this time, or it was like something like that. It just kept popping up this message. And then I'm like, okay, maybe it's my fault. So then I closed the app, reopened it, and then the book just wasn't there at all. It like wasn't in the list, it wasn't in the catalog, it wasn't in my saves. And I about lost my mind. I went online and some people said that if you removed some of the other titles from your save list, it should come back within like a day or two. So I did that. I got the book back, but sadly none of my bookmarks were saved, so I was completely lost to where I had left off. Despite all that, I did end up finishing it and it was so good, and I, dare I say, might have enjoyed this book even more than The Hate U Give. Overall, this book was a lot heavier than I thought it was gonna be. Like, the main plot of the story, like I said, is about Bree, this aspiring rapper, and that plot line is maybe like 20% of the book, and it's what's driving our character forward and the story forward. But to be completely honest, the other 80% of the book is just what's going on in her community, what's going on with her family, what's going on. Like, there's so much outside of just that plot line that I think it's important readers know before going into it. So much of the story is culturally relevant to what's going on today. All of my years of reading young adult fiction, Angie Thomas is the only author that I have ever read 100% truthfully and accurately written about microaggression, racism, and what it's like for a teenager to experience those things. Which is honestly so sad for me to say that, because young adult fiction has been around forever. Maybe it's, you know, partially my fault for not searching out, you know, more diverse books. But I've read books where, you know, we have like a side character who experiences racism, and then our main character learns about racism through that best friend, that black best friend, or, you know, her best friend of color. I don't think I mentioned this before, but Bree's mom is actually a recovering drug addict, which is a big part of the story in that relationship within her household. It's very hard for Bree, and that's another thing that I don't think I've ever seen written about so accurately. You know, Bree's mother's very loving, but she also has this past, and we see in Bree's internal dialogue how she, you know, she's really pays attention to what her mom's doing in her actions, because she's always afraid that, you know, she might go back to drugs, or she might be doing something and, you know, trying to hide it from them. One of my favorite topics that I feel like Angie just like hit the nail on the head with, and it gave me chills reading about it, was Bree experiences a lot of, I think I mentioned this earlier as well, but Bree goes to an art school, which is just, it's not as fancy of a private school as Star goes to in The Hate U Give, but it is one above the public schools. Whole like 2 or 3 pages where Bree were in her head, and she talks about how she has been sentenced to detention multiple times just for having an attitude, which has nothing to do with her actually having any sort of attitude. It's just, you know, the teachers being racist towards her. In a paragraph, she said something along the lines of like, if she seems even slightly disinterested in something, if she asks a question and raises her voice above like a monotone, the teacher automatically assumes that she has an attitude. And the white students, they can literally like yell at the teacher and no punishment is given towards them, yet she asks a question in a slightly raised tone, and then all of a sudden she's like, you know, being disruptive in class. Anyways, I don't want to spoil the whole book for you. Maybe I'll do a book talk on it, because there's so many, like, this is just one of those books where we can have like a 2-hour long book talk discussing it. Angie, you did it again. So excited for this movie. Yes, on a sadder note, I DNF'd 99% Mine. What happened, Sally Thorne? I don't know what I said in my last update for 99% Mine, but like it started off pretty good. The first like 30 pages, you know, was really funny. That sort of witty, petty humor of Sally Thorne's was really present, and I was enjoying it, you know? As the story continued, it started feeling less like a book and more like a script. book just like started to feel completely unfinished. Like there was no detail, there was no, I think I mentioned like no transitions, which was the biggest problem for me. For example, we would have two characters talking and it would just be dialogue for like 4 pages, and there would be no internal dialogue or transitions or even details as to like what's going on in the setting. I've read books that kind of lacked in one of those 3 areas, but I've never read a book that literally it's like someone cut out all the snippets. It makes just their entire interaction just really weird. Like, okay, you know when you're, okay, this is the best way I could describe it. Okay, so you know when you're like the third wheel, right? And you have 2 people or like a friend who's like, you know, invited someone else who you don't know and they're really close and they have all these inside jokes. So when they're having conversations, you're kind of like on the outside and not really understanding their communication because they're just so close that they'll just like say one word and then the other person will start laughing and you'll be like, wait, how is that funny? Like what? Like you're outside of the inside joke, you know? That is literally this whole book. It's like you feel like there's these characters that are super close and they have all these inside jokes and you're just kind of on the outside and the author doesn't really do anything to help you understand like what's going on. I love Sally Thorne and I just don't know what happened with this book. It just didn't even really feel like her. I ended up DNFing it and I'm sad about it. Until next time, keep reading and I will talk to you guys later.